Okay, it's good, Ralph.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Wall Township Board of Education special meeting for Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Smythe, could we have the sunshine statement and roll call, please?
Yes, good evening. This is the Wall Township Board of Education special meeting for which adequate notice under the Open Public Meeting Act was provided by notice to the Asbury Park Press, Co-Star, Township Administrator's Office, all Wall Township Public Schools, and a posting in the Board Administration Office on February 18th, 2021. I'll take a roll call. Mr. Gartz.
Here.
Mr. Hall.
Here.
Ms. Hodnett.
Here.
Mr. Krupa.
I'm here.
Mr. Nasser.
Here.
Mr. Sanfilippo.
Here.
Ms. Stites.
Here.
Mr. Wondrak.
Here.
And Mr. Adnizia.
Here. Thank you. All right. At this time, I will open up public comment for any agenda items that we will be voting on this evening. If there's a particular agenda item you'd like to discuss, please let us know what that number is. All right. Seeing nobody for public comment, I will up. Okay.
Betsy Cross, I'm just not sure why you changed the order of the meeting.
It did not change.
Public comment was after, was before you go through the public hearing? I mean, to the budget hearing?
This is for agenda items.
Agenda items, okay. I'm hoping that you can go over. I sent an email in today. I wasn't sure why Mr. Adonisio was listed as the first signing member for the teachers' contracts.
That was a mistake.
Okay, well, if it's a mistake, I think you should table it because it looked like that you had been working on the administrator's contracts. So if I see a mistake like that, I get nervous about what else might be a mistake. One of the things that stood out is an extra $75 an hour in the summer for administrators when they only work summer hours. So that's something that should be removed. I think the staff gets around 50 days off a year, plus summer hours. And some of the administrators are making the highest salaries in Monmouth County. So if you could go over what analysis you did to come up with the 2% retroactive, the 2.5, 2.25 and 2.25, I don't think any contract should be voted on tonight until you give us some type of analysis of how you came up with it. I did see an analysis when Dr. Handrahan was hired and the board did one thing that they should not have done. They reduced her contributions for health benefits to 1.5% of the premium, but they didn't tell anybody. So I'm glad to see that you have the contract attached, but now we have to see how you came up with it, because I did see Tracy's comparable salaries, but there was never anything showing that other supers were only paying 1.5% of their premium for premiums of over $30,000. So I think you table that tonight just because of that was a big mistake to have that Ralph was signing the contracts. I sent in a number of items on the Central School trailers.
Ms. Cross, that is not on the agenda for this evening.
Oh, are you having a separate public comment on other items?
Yep.
Okay, so this is agenda items only.
Yes.
Okay, did you change the agenda or is it the same one since this morning? I don't know.
Believe it's the same one.
Okay, I did call the courthouse today. They did say you did settle the settlement for Susan Parsons.
That is not on the agenda, Ms. Cross.
Okay, well, I can't tell because I'm driving. So what I want to be sure of is that all of the details for the settlement agreement are attached.
Okay, again, Ms. Cross, that is not on the agenda. Agenda items are items that we are voting on right now, and that is not on the agenda.
So I'm just not sure why you keep delaying Ms. Parsons' settlement agreement if you had agreed to it on Friday, which is what the courthouse said.
Ms. Cross,
So
final time, that is not on the agenda.
Well, it should be
And
on
we're
the
not,
agenda.
and we're not discussing that.
Yeah, I don't know why you keep stalling it. Allison Connolly was the president at the time. She was the
Okay, Ms.
president.
Cross, do you have any other
questions?
questions on agenda items? Because
Yes.
clearly you don't want to follow the
You-
procedures we have.
Yes, I wish you would follow the procedures, Mr. Adonisio, and
I
table the contract tonight, because that was a big mistake. I don't trust anything else, knowing that your name is the first one on there and you might have had a say in it. I did notice, I don't know, Mr. Adonisio, could you let us know, are you running a Facebook page called Wall History and News? Somebody posted that on Facebook, and I'm just wondering if that's the case.
No,
You don't run that page?
I do not run that page.
The administrator on the page have any access to anything that's posted?
No, I have one page on Facebook. Hello? Ms. Cross? Hello? All right. Ms. Cross, are you there? Okay, guess not. Anybody else for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to number 6. Could I have a motion to recommend approval of the collective bargaining agreement between the Wall Township Board of Education, the Wall Township Administrators, and Supervisory Council, WTASC, for the 2021 through 2022-2023 school years? Could I have a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
Vote. Motion by Mr. Wondrak. Could I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Sanfilippo. Any discussion or comments?
Yeah, I would just, Ralph, if I could just go on record as
Yes.
saying that the committee that was put together to negotiate, myself, Mr. Gartz, Mr. Sanfilippo, and Mr. Wondrak, were the only 4 people involved in the negotiation. So any public comment that you were involved or had anything to do with it is patently false. The 4 of us did all the negotiation and did all the under Mr. Sanfilippo's leadership of all the negotiating. So I just wanted to make sure that people are aware that that's patently false, and make sure that goes on the record.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Anybody else, any comments? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Smythe, roll call, please. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Mr. Krupa.
Hi, thank you. I do want to just ask a question. Sometimes you ask the question, you know the answer to. With regards to the summer writing with a 12-month supervisor, it appears to me, and to clarify this for me, that number of hours, if any, that are given to a 12-month or a supervisor are, it's not automatic. That have to be agreed to, if that's what I'm reading correctly. And presently, we have a mixture of supervisor structure. Isn't that correct? Do we have 10-month and 12-month? So if that what I just said is true, it's not just a whitewash of they get $75 an hour for writing curriculum during the times that they're working during the summer, during their work hours. In other words, it seems to me to be saying beyond their work hours. So my experience is that that's something that's discussed when you're looking at the projects and before they start.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, there's a couple comments. The MOA, which was basically the guts and the nuts and bolts of the contract, was out over, I guess, a month and a couple weeks ago. We voted on that last month's board meeting. And also, I just wanted to take the time to thank the folks from the Administrators Union who came together in the negotiations. They were long. We had COVID that, sort of interrupted it, like a lot of other things. When it started, it was a little bit different than the end. These are similar comments to what we made last month. But again, we're thankful for the administrators and proud of our administrators in the district. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanfilippo. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Mr. Gartz,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Ms. Hodnett,
Abstain from voting?
Mr. Krupa,
I have to abstain.
Mr. Nasser,
I also have to abstain.
Mr. Sanfilippo,
Yes.
Ms. Stites,
Yes.
Mr. Wondrak,
Yes.
and Mr. Adenizia.
I also have to abstain. I have a family member that works in the district. Thank you.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 7, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Handerhan.
Good evening, everyone. Before I get started, I am very pleased to share some information with you that I received from the high school today. As you know, there was a survey that was sent out to the families of high school students requesting the families to indicate their learning option. And the high school was exploring the opportunity to provide 5 days of in-person instruction for students that are interested. I would like to provide the information that 36% of those surveyed indicated that they wish to come back for 5 in-person days. And I am very, very pleased to share that Principal Sergio told me this afternoon that we are able to accommodate, Wall High School is able to accommodate these students for 5 days of in-person instruction per week that chose that option. So I just want to thank the high school administration and the faculty. So many people were involved in, really looking at the machinations of getting this done. And really they surpassed certainly timelines that we had established. And this is an exciting time, and we're all thrilled to move forward for students that wish to be there 5 days. So with that said, I would like to request a motion by consent agenda for items A and B.
Could we have a motion on that? Motion by Mr. Krupa. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sanfilippo. Any questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Ms. Hodnett,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Krupa,
Yes.
Mr. Nasser,
Yes.
Mr. Sanfilippo,
Yes.
Ms. Stites,
Yes.
Mr. Wondrak,
Yes.
Mr. Gartz,
Yes.
and Mr. Adenizia.
I will abstain from letter A, number 9, and yes to B. And yes to A, except number 9. I abstain. Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, we will open up for public comment on any district information. Please raise your hand.
Betsy Cross, yeah, I wasn't expecting this to go so quickly tonight. I just wanted to check. I've sent in a number of items now on the investigation for the trailers. And I think the board members can see why it's so expensive, because what's happening is over 18 months, I just kept asking the same simple baby questions over and over and over again that weren't answered. So I don't know, hopefully Ms. Seitz can talk about that tonight, and Mr. Gartz, I hope you're reading my emails, because this is why this is costing so much, is because simple questions were not answered. I don't even know if Mr. Gartz is on the call, because I don't see his name and I don't see him here. But there's a lot of questions, and luckily, Mr. Scarillo said he's going to get the answers for everything. So every question I have, he's going to get an answer for. So, and we need every board member that was on, past, present, they need to be interviewed. So we can't have people saying, oh, I don't want to be interviewed, because that's not the way this works. Because 2 years from now, when we have issues with the Mercury Gym floor, and we know there's problems, we can't have people say, oh, no, I don't want to be interviewed. I'm done. This new board's going to move on, and we're going to do the same thing, because that's the situation we're in right now. We had some very good board members years ago, John Tavis, Robin Cervantes, Ann Moonen. We had good board members years ago, but we had some really, really bad ones. And for Allison Connolly last week to be speaking out that parents were trespassing is outrageous. Parents were concerned. Other parents called me, and then I called other people. So we'll get to the bottom of this. We'll get to the truth. And Mr. Smythe has got to answer every question, because I have made a lot of phone calls. Mr. Nassar, I hope you've been interviewed. I didn't see you on the attorney bills, and you really do need to be on there. You're one of the people that has so much experience in this that you should have been all over this. And I don't know what happened, but you really dropped the ball, because you're shaking your head no. So good. So when you get through your interview and what you did with Mr. Cram and everything else, let's have that all in the report, because this has taken way too long, and no one will stop until we have a complete report from the purchase to the demo, because there's a problem with all of it. And that'll be very clear once the report is done. So I wanted to mention that. And Dr. Hanrahan, I just like receipts back. Mr. Smythe is not turning back documents, and he reports into you. And that if Dr. Hanrahan doesn't report it, then the board, you need to ask Dr. Hanrahan why she's not returning it. You just don't get to do the same thing and have it go in the black hole in Wall Township, because now you're doing another investigation. You wouldn't need this investigation if Dr. Cram had done his job. And that's very, very clear. And now with the Susan Parsons lawsuit, that costs over 50 grand, because Allison Connolly would not allow it to be investigated on the outside, and only Cheryl Dyer did it. So now you're in the same mess. You just do the same thing over and over again. And Ralph, you've been on the board 7-8 years now. It's outrageous. So that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? All right, seeing none, we will close public comment, and we will go to number 9, our workshop session for the discussion of the 21-22 budget. Dr. Hanrahan, I guess.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. Good evening, everyone out there, board and people joining us this evening. Good evening. This is the first in a series of budget workshop sessions. This year, the budget workshop sessions have been grouped thematically. This evening's focus is on curriculum and instruction. March 9th's budget workshop, staffing and technology infrastructure, and April 13th's budget workshop will focus upon operations. Before we would begin, I would like to discuss the process in use this year. As a new superintendent, it is of the utmost importance that I become familiar with district and school needs, as well as the budget dollars themselves. As such, after building principals, supervisors, and directors developed their budgets, meetings were set up to discuss each school's budget. Each meeting included the respective principal, our business administrator, Mr. Smythe, our director of technology, Mr. Lee, and our facilities manager, Mr. Moretta. Through this process, I became aware of priorities throughout the district. Some priorities are quite expensive and will require a phased-in approach. The draft budget projection you have received includes the full costs of these large-scale projects. In doing so, I wanted the board to be aware of upcoming expensive projects so that earnest discussions can begin in planning for these projects over the course of a few years. Additionally, first round budget cuts have not yet been made. The next steps for Mr. Smythe and me are to identify overages and then communicate with building administrators, facilities manager, and director of technology so that we can all collaborate on budget priorities and make the necessary cuts. These budget priorities will be a major focus for upcoming committee meetings of the board. Members of the Board of Education and public, please keep in mind that this is a process and next year's budget will most certainly be revised from what the figures you see here this evening. Tonight's theme of curriculum and instruction will not include staffing. Specific topics discussed this evening include general education curriculum and programs, special education curriculum programs, out-of-district tuition placements, staff development, and instructional technology, including instructional equipment and programs that support the educational processes. Before we begin, I would be remiss if I did not contextualize the curricular planning for next year's budget. School districts in New Jersey develop a 5-year curriculum cycle, which essentially serves as a roadmap for curriculum planning. I've been budgeting for curriculum instruction programs since 1997. And as the existence of a 5-year curriculum cycle implies, it is typically a fairly predictable process. However, the shutdown last spring, coupled with altered school schedules this year, have turned 5-year curriculum cycles upside down across the state of New Jersey. Out of necessity, school districts must respond to the immediate learning needs at hand. During the last few board meetings, Dr. Rando and I have spoken about learning gaps. Above all else, we must assess and identify individual learning gaps, remediate these gaps, and adjust curricula accordingly. It is a time to be responsive. It is incumbent upon us to use a multi-pronged approach. Financially, our strategy will be funded through the local budget, as well as anticipated second round CARES Act money and federal entitlement grants. Dr. Rando, before we address our local budget, could you please provide an overview of the grants and how they will work alongside our local budget?
Good evening, everyone. There are basically 2 grants that we received from the federal government. One is the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, or sometimes called Every Student Succeeds Act. This is money that's given to the district in June for the following school year and is for Title I students for academic support for low income, Title II for professional development, Title III for our ESL students, and Title IV for safe and healthy students. In addition, this year, we have had an opportunity to receive the CARES Act as a result of the COVID-19 virus. As a result, we will be receiving money shortly from the Elementary and Secondary Emergency Relief Fund, more commonly known as ESSER. This is the second phase of that funding. It has identified some areas that we need to look at. One include, how do we address student learning loss, to include administrating and using high quality assessments that are valid and reliable to accurately assess students' academic process. A second includes school facilities and repairs so that we can make sure that we reduce the risk for the virus of transmission. And the third is projects to improve indoor air quality for schools, including HVAC, etc. I will be focusing on the programs that deal with the curriculum and instruction and how we will move forward to make use of the federal funding for both the ESEA and the ESSER for the upcoming school year. Please note that the ESSA funding has not been allocated to the school districts. So we are planning programs according to the definitions that have been given to us, and we await for those numbers, and we can put those numbers in place as we move forward with the programs. Dr. Handahan, would you like me to continue? Can't hear you.
Dr. Handerhan, you're muted.
Dr. Rando, can I ask a question while doctors have trying to?
Surely.
So ESSER round 2, you said has not been allocated yet?
We did not receive funding for it. I don't believe so. I know it. We just received the broadcast
right.
from the statement. I don't know if we have it, if Brian knows that we do. I know it's coming up very shortly, and they are supposedly giving us monies for these 3 areas,
Right.
and we can put that together.
Okay, I misheard you. I'm sorry. I saw a spreadsheet that had every district allocated for all 3 areas. You just said they haven't funded it yet, which I understand. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I may not have seen it, but it may be allocated. You know, we just received the memo a couple of days ago, so they did say it was coming. If it did come, it didn't come directly to me.
Gotcha.
But if they have that money available for the schools, that would be great. Then we can move forward and see how we can allocate those funds.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, is my microphone on? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my apologies as I am working. My screen won't share and I don't know why. Dr. Rando, did you want to start as I'm going to try one more time because for some reason it's not linking
Sure.
the screen. So I'm not able to capture the actual Google window that has the screen. So if you can begin, that would be terrific.
That's okay. So as I indicated, the ESSER monies that we can use is for administering and using, again, high quality assessments that are valid and reliable to accurately assess students' academic progress. Those are the exact words that's in the documentation that we received from the state office. So this includes the categories such as identifying learning gaps. Some examples could be summer support programs, after-school support programs, and technology support. So we have a good overview of what we can or cannot do with this money for in order to identify student needs and to assess what their learning needs are. This also is money that can be allocated for the following school year as we move forward to minimize the risk of COVID and have all-day schools. With that, one of the areas that I work on with my staff is the area of professional development. We'll be moving forward to ensure that our teachers are ready to assist students regarding these learning gaps and strategies that are going to help them in the classroom. The ways that teachers use these professional development is they may attend some workshops, which have mostly been virtual lately, to enhance their teaching and learning. We hire outside consultants that can come in to help our teachers grow professionally for these instructional strategies and address student needs. And we also have planned for October 11th, a full day professional development day where teachers can be receiving training, where we'll be identifying some consultants to come in if we see necessary to work on that day. We also have professional development supplies as well. The account allocation for our professional development for this coming up school years is $51,900. And our professional development supplies is $2,500. In addition to that, we have a summer curriculum development budget. It's actually called summer curriculum. And it includes related instruction that's done over the summer to prepare our teachers for the fall for instruction. That includes writing curriculum for updating the New Jersey State learning standards and identifying strategies for the learning gaps, to complete our world languages program evaluation revisions, which was completed this year, to pay for our staff members on the RTI teams, data teams, for our summer SOAR program, for the new teacher orientation for new staff, and any other summer programs that we would like to provide during the summer or after school in the fall. Again, that number, which we have now, is $74,500. It does not include the ESSER monies, but if we can use that to prepare for the curriculum development and making sure that our teachers are paid to do the work we need to modify the curriculum. Another piece of our program for curriculum instruction is our program evaluation. As was indicated by our superintendent, we had a 5-year plan that is required by state code for all of our curriculum and programs in the district. The past 2 years, there has been a bit of an upset in the apple cart with that because programs have started in many districts and they were not to be completed. So for coming up in September, we are going to start year 1 for mathematics K-5, because the following year will be the end of our 5-year program that we have at the elementary school. We will also be in year 1 for our science for K-6 to 12. We will start our social studies for K to 12, and we will do our visual and performing arts for K to 12. In the first year of the program evaluation, there is no cost to the district other than paying for substitutes for teachers to be pulled out to be doing work. But all the work that is done through the school and researching, finding information, putting reports together. So that's where we are with that for year 1. It's slightly different than we had in the past year. We did manage to complete some program year 1 evaluation. And so next year, we will be in year 2 for our health and physical education grades 6 through 12. We will manage to complete year 1 of health and physical education for K-5 this year, and we allocated funds for their books that they were purchasing. We will also be doing year 2 for mathematics 6-12. Again, that was allocated this year. They were unable to move forward with that in the level that they wanted to. That will be postponed till next year. And our world language program evaluation, which was completed last year, will be in phase 2 next year. The cost for our program evaluation for year 2 next year sums to $116,000. As for textbooks, textbooks are purchased through the school budgets. We did purchase new textbooks for our elementary schools for K-5 this year. Next year, the only series of textbooks that we have will be the PE 9 to 12 or the health program 9 to 12 for textbooks, which is in the year 2 program evaluation for next year. Another source of another resource that we use is our instructional technology.
Excuse me, doctor, could I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
I have a question on that, if you don't mind.
No, please do.
The program evaluation, I know that's mandated, you know, like you just said, on a 5-year rolling kind of average type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is this program evaluation, do you also evaluate like some of the academies that we had started over the last, say, 4 or 5 years? I know Dr. Gleason, before she left, was going to look at that to see, you know, which academies were well attended and were worth the bang for the buck, and others that maybe, you know, as Dr. Hanrahan likes to say, do less but do it better. Maybe is that right, Doctor? Was that your saying? I believe from the. So I'm just wondering. I know
Close
that
enough.
Yeah, close enough, right? I'm paraphrasing, but I'm just wondering whether or not that is in this bucket, where will that be somewhere else in the budget? Then we talk about the budget impact to the academies that we're having, and which academies may stay and which ones may go and or be redesigned or what have you. I just wanted to know if that's wasn't touched here, will that be touched on somewhere else?
Well, I will tell you that we look at enrollment in all of our programs, you know, K to 12, to see what we need to do to improve it, change it, or otherwise. However, as you did indicate, since the academies are part of that curriculum or that discipline, it will be looked at as part of the whole program evaluation, and they will be reporting out on what's the process, how has it been going, do we have the number of kids in there, what has been their success, and things of that nature. Yes, it is part of the program evaluation.
Thank you.
As I was indicating, another area is our instructional technology. Many of you have heard in our last board meeting and even in our curriculum and instruction committees, we've talked about how we move forward with iReady. I indicated to you how pleased I was with the cooperation of the staff, the administration, central office in moving forward with iReady as our K-8 evaluative tool for our students, but also provides the resources for teachers to be able to see what they have to do when a child gets assessed and gives them the strategies and the lessons so that they can implement it. It also provides assessment for kids to be able to get the practice that they need. I also indicated to you that I was going to be doing some type of an analysis of what softwares we're using in the district, how well they're being used, and if we really need to continue with them. I was able to acquire the iReady from February 2021 to June 30th, 2021, free of charge from the company. I was very grateful for that, for all our K-8 students and our staffs being trained. We have received positive feedback, and we have plans to purchase that product next year. The product is about, I put down $92,000 is for our K-8 program. As a result of analyzing software and with the confirmations from the principals and the teachers at their buildings, we were able to reallocate some of the funding. I want to share with you what some of those reallocations are. Measuring Up, which was a program that was used grades 2 to 8, cost the district $30,000. We will no longer be using that program next year. iReady for grades K1, which we paid this year for $9,000, is incorporated into the 92. We do not have to pay that again. On-course assessments, which is $10,000. I was on the phone today with the company. We will be receiving that of no charge for next year. Math IXL, which is a tool that is used for the middle school and high school for students to receive some practice on the New Jersey State standards and other areas of the curriculum from grade 6 to 12. Will no longer be needed for our 6 to 8 curriculum. However, will remain for our algebra and geometry students at the middle school, as well as the students for 9-12. We are saving $8,800. Delta Math, which was a software that was used at the middle school, grade 6 to 8, cost the district $1,700. We will no longer be using that. Newzella, which was a 2 to 12, grades 2 to 12, a software, will no longer be used from K to 8, and that is a savings of $7,760. There was a resource that teachers use at the middle school called TPT, where teachers post resources and share with one another. That was $1,800. We will no longer be using that. And EduLaster, which is another program that's used for students in the area of math, will no longer be needed in the 6-8 program because we will be using iReady, and we will only be purchasing it for students in the middle school for Algebra 1 and geometry and for the math courses at the high school. That is a saving of $1,100. So we are transferring money or reallocating $70,160 to be put towards the $92,000, which means that we will be paying about a little bit less than $22,000 of additional funding for us to be able to purchase the iReady for the 21-22 school year. Some additional technical support instruction that we have is we do use OnCourse for all of our staff for a multiple of reasons. They do all their lesson plans, allows administrators to read them. They could share them. It's a wonderful tool. We have the curriculum builder. All of our curriculum guides are written on OnCourse so that teachers can access it. So it's a central location. Teachers are required by state law to write student growth objectives. The company gives this to us free of charge. They have to write them twice a year and be assessed. We do have free assessment models, as I indicated to you. They were putting that in last year. They gave it to us free this year and for next year as well. It should have only been used this year free, but on my conversation today with the company, knowing that we were going through a COVID experience, I requested that we can have it free for next year as well, and the company was willing to accommodate us. We also use our OnCourse for Evaluate Prime, which is the evaluation tool for our teachers and our administrators, where the data is also updated in NJ Smart, so the state can find out how our teachers are evaluated and the categories for each teacher and our principals. So currently OnCourse is costing us $35,000, and we hope to maintain that for next year. One other area is Frontline, and Frontline is used for, this year we acquired Frontline, which for the RTI management system. It's costing the district $11,000 this year. And we use it also use Frontline. I think Tracy's going to get into this. We do use it for our IEP Direct and for our 504s. That basically is the monies that we use for our curriculum, professional development, program evaluation, and technology to support instruction, and for us to identify ways to find learning gaps, have curriculum rewritten, teacher trained, so our students can be ready in the fall to close those learning gaps.
Another major tool for curriculum and instruction is our student information database. Now that obviously, it hits many different areas, but it does indeed really hit curriculum and instruction because of the partnership with families. It's our contact information tool within the district, but it also maintains our grades. It's our grading, it maintains all of our portals. It's the students' schedules. So it's very much a part of the curriculum and instruction theme, and the cost is $32,000 to run the system each year. Another system that I did want to highlight is our guidance software, and that is Naviance. So that is looking to be $5,400. Now, guidance software Naviance, it is most people think of it as a college applications tool. It is very much a powerful college. College applications are 99.9% of them are submitted electronically, and Naviance, along with some others in the industry, are that's the tool in which the colleges that will receive it on the other end. It also, though, contains numerous different exercises, do what you are, career inventories, and really it helps students really think about the four-year planning process, because in high school guidance, it is truly, it's not something that you start thinking about July, moving into junior year. It's something that needs to take it from the top. And Naviance is a great tool. It offers many more services besides the college applications tool and the electronic documents for the recommendation letters. Another few items that really are outliers, but I wanted to bring to your attention is Wall Township High School. The AP exams are paid for by the district, and that was a decision that was made a while back. The budget is $46,000. That is the projected cost for the number of AP tests that will be given this spring. I mentioned that because that is an item that I certainly, I would like to discuss in committee. it's a wonderful service that the Board of Education is providing to the families. And I did want to bring your attention to it because it certainly is, it's a fairly significant cost.
A lot of money.
Another item is $15,000. It's $15,000 for to run the PSATs. I have to tell you, it is absolutely in the students' best interest, post-secondarily, and certainly in the school's best interest to run the PSAT as a district and absorb the costs. One of the key benefits is, of course, the students have the opportunity to experience the test, but when the school hosts a PSAT, we actually get a curriculum map back from all the students to see how the students actually performed on particular skills. And that is a wonderful, wonderful document for to assess and tweak different curriculum at the high school. So I absolutely wish to continue that practice. I support that. I certainly support that wholeheartedly because there's such a valuable tool for the learning process. The next thing I'd like to talk about is instructional supplies. And the district total across all of the schools is $838,845. The breakdown, and I'm going to give you a breakdown because I do want to zoom in on the high school a little bit. The K-5 breakdown is $350,804. And the intermediate school is $67,870. I do want to note that the intermediate school does have instructional that utilizes instructional supplies, but because of accounting practices are credited in different accounts and are not attributed directly to the codes for instructional supplies. And the high school's instructional supply accounts is $420,171. And that clearly is a large portion of the instructional supply budget. However, I do want to stress that that instructional supply cost absorbs much of the costs to run, say, the engineering academy. The equipment that is needed is it's considerable to maintain the pre-engineering academy. So I bring that to light because some of the academies do have some specialized costs. And additionally, I would be remiss if I did not, obviously mention that the population, school population, has an impact, the total enrollment, and also in the high school with the elective programming, with the materials needed for the elective programming, it's to run our program, that this is the cost. The next up that I really wanted to hone in on a little bit, because it is an extremely important part of the learning process, and that is educational media supplies. The total district expenditures for educational media supplies, which includes ebooks, makerspace supplies, print books, databases, periodicals, is $86,267. The district, meaning central office out of the Office of Curriculum and Instruction, we purchase $8,500 to buy Destiny Follett Resource Manager for all of the schools, because that's a resource that is available to every child and it is purchased at the district level. I would like to hone in a little bit because I think it's really indicative of what is to come curricularly in the next couple of years. At the high school, we have we participate and we subscribe to online databases. And online databases are truly, it's a critical part of secondary programming. And right now we budget $17,750. This particular account over the next couple of years, I would imagine there will be, this will be a growing account. That's why I wanted to bring it to your attention, because much of the curriculum, the curriculum, the new standards for the curriculum require the use of periodicals and industry vetted periodicals, which it is much preferred for students to complete research using online databases as opposed to a quick search on Google. So that is a very important part of the research process at certainly the secondary level. And I look forward to different curricular projects that may require that number to expand over the next couple of years. Another item that is budgeted for is turnitin.com, and that is $5,000 allocated, and it's a plagiarism deterrent software. It's something I know very well. It was in the last 2 high schools that I worked in, and it truly is. It is a wonderful tool. It also, when the students are younger, it really serves as a great point of communication for students to learn, because often as a former high school administrator, it was interesting, when you want to discuss what plagiarism is, it really is that you have to take the teachable moments when it's there. So this is a wonderful investment that certainly most schools utilize, and Wall, I'm pleased to say, has been using this for quite a while. Okay, the next step that I'd like area that I wish to speak about is special education. And special education tonight, this is not going to include staffing, nor is tonight's discussion going to discuss transportation. That will be presented at a different time. But I did want to give you some type of an update. In the past, I do know that there have been needs for opening different programs, and that is not the case this year. So we have not budgeted for any new additional programs. So I did want to bring that to your attention. I also want to bring it to your attention that collectively, the supply accounts for special education instructional supplies is $129,700. Another item that is completely necessary to run the special education programs is a budgeting for a purchase service item, specifically outside evaluations. At times, it is necessary to secure the services of professionals that are outside of the Wall Township employees in our child study teams. So it is necessary for us to budget monies so that we can seek specific evaluations as needed so that we can best support our students. Also, special education is not simply a September through June program. There is, every summer, there is an extended school year program. And this extended school year program does also require some purchase services. And I am pleased to share that there actually is a new purchase service this year, and it is the new bicycle program, a new bike program. And it is a service where our students in the MD classes can learn the bicycle safety. They learn how to maneuver a bicycle as needed, as it pertains to their particular needs. And it's a very exciting program that our special services department is looking forward to implementing this summer. The next item that I'd like to talk about is instructional technology equipment. During the summertime, we had, with the first round of CARES Act, we had invested quite a bit in different technologies, Chromebooks for students. And additionally, we also implemented iPads for every child in the district in kindergarten and first grade. To continue with our cycle, because the devices there is a life expectancy. They typically age out after about 5 years. Certainly the Chromebooks do. And next year, so in this budget, it is West Belmar's turn to replace their Chromebooks with new Chromebooks. And there are 200 student devices that are budgeted at approximately $300 per device. So $60,000 will be allocated for the instructional technology equipment. Another aspect that became abundantly clear with the necessity for online learning, and also a positive byproduct of online learning, is that our teacher devices, Wall Township teachers are demonstrating each day a higher and an increased level of sophistication with respect to technological applications in their lessons. And many of the activities, many of the lessons that they are designing, the student grade Chromebooks cannot support these lessons. And we've been addressing this as need has arisen, but our faculty is just doing a great job, growing by leaps and bounds. So it's time where we provide teachers with devices to support where they are instructionally, and that is either with a laptop or with an enterprise quality Chromebook. And I'd like to talk a little bit about this. During the last few months, our teachers, spanning all the schools and all the grade levels, have been piloting different devices. They've been piloting laptops, different laptops, but they also have been piloting a high-powered Chromebook because of some of the integrations of the applications. So I am very much looking forward to their results and their feedback, because we absolutely want to make an informed decision, and we want to make sure that that our faculty has a voice in the devices that they will be using on a daily basis. It is estimated that we will need 470 devices. The cost of the device plus a cover, because we want to make sure that we provide staff with an adequate protective ability, is $925. That takes us to $434,750. This is a significant investment in technology and in our faculty. And as Dr. Rando mentioned, we are any day expecting information with respect to the CARES Act. And certainly, depending on the monies available, this is an expense that could be offset by the grants. It's an allowable expense. Other items in the instructional technology equipment budget is classroom projectors. In next year's budget, we've proposed that there are 10 projectors that are purchased for each of the K-12 schools and 2 at primary school. It will cost about $5,000 for the setup, and that takes us to $310,000. And again, this type of expense could potentially be offset by the CARES Act. Another budget item is the replacement for breakage for existing Chromebooks and iPads, and we have budgeted $10,500 to take care of the expenses if some of our devices have difficulty working. And document cameras, webcams. We're looking at $3,000 to purchase some items in that area. I would like to add that next year we will also be spending a great deal of time really researching and working together through a district committee that will be formed to really identify what does a future ready classroom look like. And so there should be some very exciting things that we should be sharing with you next year as we look forward with that. Okay, the next item that I'd like to discuss is the charter school transfers and tuition. This year, the transfer to charter schools is $80,858. The monies that we must allocate for Monmouth County Vocational School District is $540,017. Also, to the vocational program, and this is a dedicated special education program, we have budgeted $153,000. We also need to budget for students attending the County Special Service District to the sum of $285,151. And our out-of-district special education placements, we have budgeted $1,831,000 and $1,831,856. So that is a general overview of certainly expenses that we are requesting. Some of them are required expenses. Some of them I absolutely wish to discuss with you further through our committee meetings. And certainly if there are any questions regarding any of the items that Dr. Rando and I mentioned this evening, I invite you to please ask.
Dr. Handerhan, I have a question. With classroom projectors, they're not the typical, I guess, the kind everybody's used to, where you roll them in and then you put the paper on it and it projects up onto the wall.
No, that's absolutely correct. These are mounted to the specific room and calibrated for different positions. So one of the things that we noticed this year, especially because social distancing was an absolute priority, and we're expecting that we have to be cognizant of the social distancing next year, that we need to really rethink how we're using our different LCD projectors.
Okay. And do you think that's enough to get started, or would be?
Well, I think it's enough to get started because we're at a point right now, because we have projectors that are operable, but they've aged out as far as bulbs, for example. We can't buy, for some of the models, we've even gone to the secondary market to buy bulbs for these particular items. What I would like to do is actually spend some time studying, and as I mentioned, what does the classroom of the future look like? And with this type of a purchase, the classroom for the 21st century, we're not going to be able to do that all at one time. This is one of those items that need to be phased in, and in the interim, we do have to make sure that that we have devices, that we have LCD projectors, that not only can we find the bulbs to work, but also our devices can speak with, which is something that we've been having some difficulties with too. So we need to get to a point where we're operable right now, and then we need to look to the future. And at that point, we would be developing a multi-year plan.
Okay. Adam, you had a question?
Yes, thank you. I have one question and then just one statement. I'll ask the question first because, instruction's not my forte. So I just want to try to understand when it comes to the testing, and I know the federal government today came out with, they're not completely waiving the testing requirements for this year. And we're budgeting for services over the summer that are going to be delivered. How are those two dots with assessments this year going into the end of the year to identify the gaps for the students, going to connect with the budgeted expenses we have over the summer, being that there's going to be that
lag.
assessment disconnect. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know
1,000%. Mhm.
yeah, I know some of this is going to be fixed by the additional funding that we're getting, but from a, just a foundational standpoint, how is that going to work?
Okay. Well, I can tell you that, especially with, we were there right now, the state testing is pushed off to April 5th and beyond. And it's up in the air, quite frankly. So what we need to do is make sure that we have that data so that we can plan. And that's one of the critical pieces, certainly in the K-8, is with iReady, because we'll be able to capture all of that data that the state testing would be able to provide to us. iReady is, it mirrors the content objectives that are assessed on the state assessments. So frankly, we're not going to miss a beat, because we'll be able to get that type of a data. And also, it would be more authentic, because whereas the state testing is done in isolation, it's done in one shot. Okay, today's your math day, day 2 math, day 2, English. This is a look over a series of a couple months, where we don't have to worry if a child's not feeling good or not feeling well, or if it's a bad day for them, because we have multiple interactions with the student and iReady, so that we can really take an accurate temperature. It will be interesting to see what happens with the state testing, but we have to plan for, even if we do, if it is administered, there's a lag time when a test is given after April. I know Dr. Rando, we can certainly speak to this. There's been testing years when there's been a new test where literally Labor Day weekend, I was going through testing data. So to place kids for the next school year. So we are looking to utilize the tools that are available to us. I'm grateful that Dr. Rando was able to reallocate some of the funding so that we can take it out of existing funding. And it is the programs themselves will be a topic of much discussion in the months to come, Mr. Nasser. So this is a topic that you mentioned that instruction's not your forte, but you'll become much more schooled, I will say, because the instruction will absolutely be at the forefront of our planning meetings, really until we achieve our goals.
I look forward to that. Thank you. Again, this is just such a dynamic situation, so trying to understand it for people that aren't laymen,
right,
it is tough. So I know for us on the board, just trying to learn and then look ahead and plan, it's a challenge. So.
Yeah, well, and it's moving targets. Right now we're looking at moving targets, and we're being asked to plan for the 21-22 school year, when we are in the process right now of assessing, what do our kids need? And that's why when I started the conversation this evening about the curriculum instruction budget, this is something that is nothing I've ever experienced before, because it's always been very, you're on a schedule. There is nothing scheduled about this, and everything has to be prescriptive to the child. This is personal. This never has there been a need for personalized learning more than right now.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. The second statement, I think this is more for the F&F committee. So I'm gonna talk to Russ and the rest of the guys on the committee with this. And that's, these technology purchases are great. It's great that we're getting funding, but it's one-time funding. And
exactly.
We're going to have ongoing expenses, as you can see here. I mean, it adds up to probably, 3/4, if not $800,000, give or take. these are going to be ongoing expenses we have year over year, and how we budget for it when we go from grant program to grant program, it makes me nervous because there's no continuity that we can plan on. And I know there's not a way to pull out of our reserve funds, but being able to sock away some kind of money, and maybe, Brian, I'm sure we're going to talk about this at some point, but being able to sock away some sort of money so that we can create that continuity to make sure that we're able to create an ongoing replacement cycle.
Exactly.
That we can rely on, then the teachers are going to rely on, the students are going to rely on, I think is important for us to discuss.
And the devices age out.
Absolutely.
They age out. So we have to, whether they can be in perfect condition, but if they're incompatible with the technology at the time, they're of no use to us. So your point is extremely well taken, because we absolutely need that kind of a plan. And an example of that would be the West Belmore. The Chromebooks aged out, so this is their turn. So it's that type of a phase-in approach, because technology, they're high ticket items. It's expensive.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Christine, you are up next.
I just had a quick question.
Christine, you're very choppy.
Regarding the cost of the on-course. Okay, I'll type a question. Go on.
I think you're frozen. Dr. Hanhern, did you pick any of that up, or
I think I heard on course.
I did hear that. So I'm not exactly sure what the question was, but you know what, we'll circle back to Christine.
I think it was on course.
If she can reconnect. Andy?
Thank you. I'm lower my hand. Oh, you did it. Lovely. Okay, so I want to just continue with the instructional technology area. One thing that comes to mind is shoveling sand in the desert. And what I mean by that is that the district at one point in time did make a huge investment in purchasing so that we could have the one-to-one initiative. I don't know if I was on the board at that time. I've only been 1.5 years, but that's huge. And the decision-making with regards to that is no simple task. And as we go forward with looking at, as an example, the 10 projectors, one of the things that Erin Mangan brought up was whiteboards and interactive whiteboards. I had the experience of going through all of the buildings, every single classroom, every single area. And I agree that this time in our life of education is probably exponentially increasing the skills and the need for teachers to be technologically savvy. And there's always differences from brother to sister, sister to brother, right? And we help each other out with those things. But the compatibility issues of this equipment that we're talking about need, as you said, to look towards that, what the 21st century learning look like. So not having that information, I'm just hoping that we're looking at those kinds of things across the district. I know middle school, I saw a lot of really great teaching there, utilizing the instruction. This is prior the instructional method, I should say, prior to COVID. And as I said, right now it's everybody's world. So How is that, what is your, are we just trying to patch things for now so
Well,
that we can
in
keep
some
running?
cases, but this money also encompasses, I don't know if you've seen, actually, Ms. Magan referenced this type of technology where, you can actually interact with the board itself. So
Right.
that is absolutely going to be a part of this sum, so that we can, we can see, okay, well, what's working, what's not working, so that we can make the informed purchases. So that is, it's not merely just the projection, it's the interaction of
Right.
the two,
Right.
which is why the cost is, certainly it's not a $600 LCD projector.
No.
Right.
And with regards to that, hardware, software, and when we say software, it's no longer the floppy disk or the thing that you insert. It's on, it's interactive databases and that kind of thing. So your computers have to be able to interact with those service providers, with the strength of the signal, et cetera. I know I'm dumbing this down, but you know what I'm saying. So when you talk about the teachers' devices, and obviously they have to be addressed, it says student grade Chromebooks no longer suffice. I'm not really understanding what you mean by that. Are you saying that they're using the student grade devices, or
mobile, yes. Our teachers do have desktops. The teachers have desktops that some have come of age where we need to start making decisions. What we have found out now that we're incorporating more and more technology is the need to be mobile in the classroom.
Right.
So the portable devices give teachers so much more flexibility around the classroom, instead of being really tethered to an area in the classroom where the desktop is. So it's moving. It's starting to change. So the investments, whether it was a desktop that needed to be replaced, we're looking to replace them with mobile units so that the teachers have so much more flexibility.
Yeah, well, the term flexible classroom basis too goes right along with that. And then finally, this is not a concern, and I'm very happy for the health and PE department, but and the others that did the program evaluation, math, world languages, but textbooks. Are we looking at organizations or publishers rather that have online subscription available, considering what we're going through right now and the amount of money that textbooks, the hard copies cost? I don't know if that's a low or a high number that I'm looking at, but it's more conceptually that I think we need to ask the question, should we be buying, if that is, hard copies in any department, or should we be looking at subscriptions where and in some cases they might be you pay once and that's it. And then so I'd like to know about that. And I don't want you to think that I'm not thinking about the children that do need hands-on text and that grade level as well. So it's not that I'm saying dismiss it at all. I'm just not really sure.
No, of course. Dr. Rander, did you want to take this one, or I can certainly?
Yes. I would say probably about 15 years ago, publishing companies began to realize that schools are relying on technology for instruction. And what they have done is they will produce a textbook, but they also tell you, you also have this book for a 5-year subscription. And now what's happening is the subscription is costing almost the same or more than the textbooks. And sometimes what school districts have decided to do would be to buy a class set of a textbook and give the online subscription to all the students and the teachers. So therefore once they get that password, They don't need to carry the book back and forth. However, we would leave them in the classroom for those kids if they have some kind of a group or cooperative learning experience, which we haven't been doing lately. But in the event that we go back to that world, you may want to have a textbook in the classroom. So yes, my first question to any textbook adoption is, and that is also on our textbook adoption form, what are the online resources? What's the contract for that? How long could we have it for? And we always want to make sure that that is available. That is definitely a part of the process.
Let's just see.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Krupa. Let's see. Christine, are you back? Can you talk?
I can try.
Maybe try with the camera off. Maybe it's using too much bandwidth.
How's that? Can you hear me?
A little
now?
better.
A little better.
Just the cost of on-course, please.
The cost of
Okay.
on-course.
Okay.
Yeah, the cost of on-course, again, I was on the phone with them today. The cost of on-course is $35,000. That includes a license for every teacher to do lesson plans, every teacher to have access to what's called the curriculum builder, to be able to write curriculum and to access curriculum throughout the school year, for teachers to write their student growth objectives, which is rated, is also in the system during the teacher evaluation process. They have assessment modules, which was free of charge for us this year and also next year, that you can use in the classrooms. And also the modules that are used to evaluate the teachers during the observation process and the summative evaluation for the end of the year, of which there is a rating. That is for every certificated staff.
Okay, so I think maybe why Christine asked that was because in the presentation it says the budget's $47,000 for it.
Yes, Tracy and I noticed that was a correction, because there is the assessment piece for about $10,000 or $12,000. When I was on the phone today with the company, when I was asking about it, they said they would, they gave it like free for this year, but we didn't know how well they're using it. So I said, well, can't you just give it free again next year? Because we really aren't using it that much. And he said, sure, not a problem. So presentation.
It's a coupon.
So originally it was 47. And as we were working towards the day, we realized, I realized I put it on my document. And then by the time we did it, Tracy is so efficient that she sent it out to everyone. It is $35,000.
Okay, it sounds like we
Thank
need
you.
Dr. Rando to handle the purchasing of our vehicles, because I think you would get us some pricing. Yes. Nice job, thank you.
My pleasure.
Ken, you raised your hand?
Yes, I think just a little bit more emphasis on iReady, and Dr. Rando could give just a brief explanation of the connection between parent, teacher, assessment, and remediation. I think that is so important. And I think this whole thing is revolutionary. This isn't just some other thing to do. I think this is something that's going to help the teachers. It's going to help the parents. It's going to help everybody.
Sure, certainly. So this iReady, it's been in the making for a number of years. And when I came to the district and I saw the different number of softwares that we were using, it is because many of the products out there do not put it all together for us. So this is one product that does. So what it does first is our teachers are trained on how to assess students so they take these tests, which are online. So students take the test, the teachers learn how to read the results, the reporting that they get. And then it moves into areas of this software that says, if your child is missing this learning standard or is weak in this learning standard, because I want to remind everyone that this software is aligned to the New Jersey learning standards. And they have done some studies that iReady and the performance and the assessments that are done on iReady is a good indicator on how students will perform on the state test, because there's a correlation. So it is totally aligned with the state standards. And so it's not that the teachers just look and see that the child has difficulty with, let's say, phonemic awareness. It will literally tell you on that grade level which standard you are either deficient in or you're excelling in, and how you can do it. So once the teacher gets the reports, it's accessible to the teachers, the guidance counselors. And I want you to know our second training, which starts, I believe, Monday and Wednesday, we are including the ESL teachers, we're including the library and media specialists, the technology staff, the child study team members, guidance counselors. We want everyone to be aware of how this assessment is being given and how you can utilize the reports to identify student needs. Once the teachers get these reports are then looked at to look for deficiencies, to look for students who are excelling, who are doing very, very well, for gifted and talented. It identifies the RTI, where there is retention that's needed and how we can address those skills. What's good about it, it directs the teacher to go directly to an assessment or to a lesson that you can use for that particular skill. Very often they find out how a student does, as we do on the state assessment, but it doesn't tell the teacher how to correct it. So we have hundreds of teachers at the elementary and middle school who now know how kids are at their level, but are all running around trying to figure out, how do I address this for this child when there is all this information at one location? Parents will be receiving a report on how their students are performing, and they can even look at that and see how their kids are doing on the iReady when it's being done. It's going to be done throughout the year in the school so the teachers can assess them. Although there may be, for example, some major testing that's done twice a year so we can get a sense of how they do all together, there are assessments that go on throughout the year so the teachers can see how the child is performing, the parent can see how they're performing. It is live data. So I've been involved in looking at this program for several years. They've made tremendous improvements over the years. They really have come together to meet the needs of all the different people, as was indicated, the parent, the teacher, the assessments, and the administration, so we can identify student needs. I like this program because it really identifies the root cause of learning. And if you can find the root cause of learning, you can find the root cause as what's deficient, and the root cause for why they're excelling, and the root cause to find out how you can help them with a particular skill. So, we're learning to how to read the reports, learning how to administer the test. We're getting wonderful feedback from everyone, and we're going to review it, give feedback, and whatever needs to be done differently for the following year, we're going to be moving in that direction.
Thank you, Dr. Randall. Kristen, did you have something?
I did. I was just taking down my hand so it wasn't up while I was talking. I've debated even mentioning this because it's such a sensitive issue. And as a special educator, I feel it with one hat, and as a parent advocate, I feel it with another hat. But I was just looking at the out-of-district placement cost for students with disabilities, and it's such a big number, and it's going up. And I'm wondering if and again, I'm new, so I am wondering if that would be something that would be a focus. I'm just thinking of a tool like iReady. One of the things I know it to do is to help educators and families partner around need. So the idea of personalized learning really shows up with this tool. And I know out-of-district placements are typically for a higher level of need. And I'm just wondering if WAL is looking to bring some of those services that we typically place out for into WAL, because being in your community to learn and to be with community friends has to be one of the best things for children. And I know as much as possible that's what schools look to do. So I'm just wondering what our thinking is around that.
Well, what I can tell you is I'm truly not versed well enough in the students, certainly the IEPs that require the students to receive out of district services. So, but it is absolutely, there's the financial piece, but then there's the what's the best thing for the student. And more often than not, the best place for the student is in their home district. In my past school, we had programs. We had schools within the schools, and I can tell you that it was just such a beneficial experience for every student involved. That and it's something that I do see here in Wall Township. I do see it. As we're moving forward, as we're establishing our goals, I think we must look at this. We must work with our special educators, and we really need to study this. I really can't speak to the specifics because I haven't been here long enough, but the desire, I can tell you, certainly on a personal note, the desire, I see there's more than value to having programs in their in-home district, and of course they're least restrictive at that point too. So I think that's a very that's an exciting conversation I think that we need to have. And moving forward, when we start to establish goals, I think that would be a really worthy one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did anybody else have any questions for Dr. Handerhan or Dr. Rando? No, seeing none. Dr. Handerhan, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Well, I just want to share with the curriculum committee, we're going to be really busy because we have a lot of discussion, a lot of refining that we need to do, and prioritization. And I do want to stress that this is a work in progress, and I look forward to our next discussion. And I just thank you for all of your time. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to give you some context. And I look forward to our committee meetings next week. So thank you.
Great. All right, thank you. Anybody have anything else for this evening? Seeing none, could we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Adam. Could I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chris. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Be safe. Mr. Clayton, you can stop the live.